Okay, welcome again to Good Choices. Mic looks good. Noise floor check. Okay, noise floor check looks good. I do have a device running here, an air purifier, so it's going to be a little bit noisy. Hopefully not too bad. So this is going to be EngineerKit again. It's going to be part 9 of the infrastructure module. So the last videos I did, I in the infrastructure series was to go through video lessons right here, and this one is going to be completing a tutorial. So the first thing I will do is open up EngineerKit, my fork of it. Alright, and actually I'm gonna go straight to VS Code. That's where I'm doing this in, so I want to go straight there, and then I can see if I did any changes. Okay, so that's not the best place to go straight to because we can see it's my project folder. It's not the folder for EngineerKit itself. I have that pulled down, so I'll see if I have any changes by doing a git status. So it looks clean, but I do want to open that up because there were some things in the modules that were just kind of a one and done thing. So if we go down to infrastructure, which is what I'm working on right now, and we go down to the learning resources for cloud providers, we can see all that really needs to happen with some of these. So we've got tutorials, we've got videos, we've got a video series, so a collection of videos, and then we've got tools and resources. So the videos, self-explanatory, watch the video, did that, watched all the videos. The tutorial, pretty self-explanatory as well, do the tutorial, so that's what I'm working on now. But the resources and the tools are less self-explanatory, so I'm going to open up all of those. So the first thing here is a resource. It is a Cloud Guru. Then we've got tools for all of the top 4 providers of cloud services: AWS, Azure, DigitalOcean, and Google Cloud Platform. So this is so the first thing I opened up was a resource. It's a Cloud Guru resource. So I'm not sure what's going on with. Okay, so we can see this is through Pluralsight, which is a learning company. And let me make sure I'm. Yep. Okay, everything is good. So these are like classes you can take. So I can try it for free. Might as well. So it looks like it's so for fast track certifications with hands-on learning, it's going to be $35 a month, which is taquitos if you follow the same YouTube channel as I do. So, but it's taquitos for a good cause to further career, which is important. So I might consider that at some point, but for now, let's take a look at what the free offerings are. Yeah, so learning is a ongoing, lifelong progress. So I've got my handle there, which probably isn't good to show public, but learning is a lifelong process. So something like this probably might be a good investment, especially for $35 a month if I can walk away with some certs. Let's take a look at what certs can be walked away with. So if we look at the dashboard, it's probably where I am now. Yeah, so I think I'm at the dashboard. So we do have a cert here for the CLF-C102, the Certified Cloud Practitioner. And I have, in my career, technical development, I do have a Amazon certification pretty high on my list. So the different kinds of certifications are right here. Let's take a look at what kind of certification is the CLF1, and I can close this because that's the So this is a certified cloud practitioner. Let's see if that's on the list. All right, so that's the very basic foundational cert with no prior experience. You know what? That's probably a good one to get. It's probably going to be easy, which is motivating, racking up a few wins. As was the case with my attempt at the LPIC, I ended up failing, and that really squashed my momentum. Even though I was doing some really good learning, I would have been really smart to have continued with that, even without getting the cert, with failing the cert. But, just that act of failing is so demotivating. So starting with the foundational certs, I think, make a lot of sense. It will get you a easy win, and it will probably cost less, and that can go a long ways with an employer as well. You don't have to have the most advanced cert to be considered for a position. Okay, so this is a good one. I'm not sure if I can enroll in the courses. So it looks like in order to take this one, I do need to upgrade. So I'll click that. Yeah, so in order to take that course, since I'm on the free plan, I will need to upgrade to the paid plan. And I can pay monthly or I can pay yearly. If I pay yearly, I do save some money. But if I want to cancel it before the year is up, then I will save more. So like, let's say 6 months went by, I accomplished all my goals, and I canceled it, then I would save money doing this plan, and the $72 savings would actually, that would be extra costs because I want to end it early. So monthly might make sense. We do have a plus plan. I don't know what the plus plan is for. So unlimited courses, quizzes. So the plus plan might make more sense. So this actually might make a lot of sense. So I think what I'm going to do is go back and bookmark this page because this is the recommended resource. So if I want that basic cloud practitioner cert, this is probably a good way to get it. But there might be some free resources I can use, which I kind of tend to gravitate for, perhaps to my detriment. So let's keep this in mind though. So I'm going to choose another folder, collapse my hobbies, collapse my future plans, and open up my career. So we'll go to technical development, and then we're going to go to courses, and that will be saved in courses. I think I have some other courses saved, so I'll move this up to the top.
Hello, Cloud Gurus. Welcome to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner course.
All right, and that just started opening. That just started playing without any input from me. So I really don't. That's the other thing I like about free resources. I don't like it when things happen without me, without my input. When things just automatically play like that without me pressing a play button. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine. So let's see if there's a free resource. So we're gonna say free training. So AWS Cloud Practitioner free training. Okay, so it looks like Amazon itself might offer some free training. We do have a Reddit here that will offer some training. And then we have a blog article for how to get free training. Okay, so we've got a free Udemy course. We've got, okay, so it looks like there are some free options for that. But for now, I think I reviewed this. I didn't sign up for it or do any of the exercises. But I think that was the goal, was to just review the resource and see if I want to go ahead and get some certifications, which I might want to do in cloud. That's a great way to move forward in a career. It saves you. Sometimes you get a little bit less scrutiny during interviews if you have a certification, because you pass the certification, it's legit, it's valid, they check that, and that really plays in your favor. Alright, so what I'll do is mark this as done because I saved this resource, I looked it over, I looked at some other resources, so I'm done with that. Then the other things remaining are the tools. We've got 4 tools here: AWS, Azure, DigitalOcean, and Google Cloud Platform. This is another one where it doesn't really have any clear indication of how far to go with these. It looks like there are some free videos to watch, but it doesn't specifically say to do that. I think just to be familiar with these sites and these services. So it looks like we do get some free resources in Google Cloud. So I think signing up, creating an account probably makes a lot of sense. I do have that DigitalOcean account already, and I created a password for it. I think I might already have an account here. Yeah, I already have an account, and there's an expired card given to that account. So, yeah, that's how far I'm gonna go with that. So, yeah, so I've got an old expired card on an existing account. So if I want to do something with that, I can go and update my card. But for now, I think all of these are done. So I'm gonna mark all 5 of these done, and then work on this tutorial. Okay, I'm going to say glanced over the resources and tools. Stage that commit and then commit it, sync changes. There we go. Now if I refresh this page, we can see I've got everything done now except for that tutorial. So let's work on the tutorial. Okay, so because of that, I don't need this window open anymore. Okay, so now last one I was working on the prerequisites. So here's the preview. And I have to sneeze, so I'm hoping to pause and sneeze off camera. Alright, I'm back. I guess I didn't have to sneeze that badly. So, prerequisites are a DigitalOcean account, which I have, a personal access token, which I have, doc utility, which I believe I have, and kubectl, which I believe I have. Okay, so in the step 1, docstl CLI introduction. In this step, you will learn how to use the docstl utility and explore the available options for the DigitalOcean platform. The way doctl works is by using commands and subcommands to create and manage DigitalOcean resources. You can get help for each via the -- help flag. Next, you're going to explore the doctl auth command and subcommands. Please open a terminal. Alright, I got one here. I'll switch it over to work so that my present working directory is this tutorial folder. And let's take a look at the git status. Okay, so we do have some files here that haven't been committed. I'm not even sure where. Let's do a git remote -v. Okay, so it looks like okay, this is my DigitalOcean account is where this is. Alright, so let's follow along. Next, you're going to explore this and the subcommands. Open a terminal and type the following command to list all available options. So doctl-help. Alright, so we've got all the available options here. Let's look a few. One click, that looks interesting. Apps, account. Alright, looks good. The output looks similar here. Yep, so we see the same sorts of things. Now inspect the auth command help page. Okay, so we've got some different options here. We've got access token string, API URL, that one probably is relevant, interactive there. So let me read this part and then move on. The doctl auth commands allow you to authenticate doctl for use with your DigitalOcean account using tokens that you generate in the control panel. So yep, I believe I have one of those already. If you work with just one account, call doc-auth-init and supply the token when prompted. This creates an authentication context named default. To switch between multiple DocOcean accounts, including team accounts, create named contexts using doctl-auth-init -s context name. So I believe I did that already. Then providing the applicable token when prompted. This saves the token under the name you provide. To switch between contexts, we can use the switch command there. Alright, so that looks good. The output looks similar. Some parts are hidden for simplicity. Then see what options are available for the list subcommand, which is part of the doctl auth command. So the command is doctl auth list. List, okay, and then --help. There we go. So now we've got commands for list. List named authentication contexts that you create with doctl-auth-init. To switch between the contexts, there we go. Same thing as before, so create new contexts, there we go. So the output looks similar here. In the next step, you're going to learn how to authenticate to DigitalOcean API with doctl to create and manage resources on the DigitalOcean platform. Alright, and I'll take a quick break. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back and I'm feeling good, so let's keep on going. So step 2 is authenticating to DigitalOcean API. doctl needs to authenticate with DigitalOcean API to perform queries and create resources on your behalf. Hence, an access token is needed. Step 2 from prerequisites. For each command or subcommand that you run, doctl performs an API call to DigitalOcean. To authenticate doctl with DigitalOcean API, you can use the auth command of doctl. First, list the available options for the auth command. Alright. -h is probably the same as --help. Yep, you can see that there. Alright, we've got the available commands: init, list, remove, and switch. The output looks similar to this. Next, you're going to use the init subcommand for docauth to perform initialization. When asked, please enter the access token created in the prereq step. So I believe I did this already because I didn't want to lose the access token. So we can see, yes, I did this already in a prior video because you can only see your access token once. So I didn't want to lose it, so I did this already. So now check that my account is configured for doctl to use. So I'm going to check this off camera because I'm worried about showing my token. So I'll check it off camera, and if it doesn't show my token, then I will show it on camera. Alright, I'm back. So we don't see the token, we see the context names. So we have the default context, which I'm currently switched into. And then I created in the last video a new context here. So, right, the output looks similar to, notice the line containing current. Yeah, so it looks like they actually did have a name that they're using for the context. I did kind of stress over which name to choose. I could have just gone with the one they went to, but I didn't read it carefully enough, so I picked my own. That's totally fine as long as I'm switched over and it's the current context. Right now it is not, so let's switch it over. So next you're going to learn how to spin up a docs cluster and explore the available options. Right, but I need to switch the context over first, so it's going to be switch here. So doc TL off switch -H. Okay, so then right, so then you can feed it flags if you want. So here's an example of it. Yeah, so if you feed it the context flag, then you can give it the context name. So let's do that. Alright, and the context name is up here. Okay, so now I can do that prior command. And we can see that the correct context is now the current context. Alright, next step is creating the docs cluster. In this step, you will learn how to use doctlk8's command to create a docs cluster. First, explore the available doctl commands for managing docs clusters. Manage a doc cluster with this command, and I'm worried I'm going to get charged here. Okay, so I'll read this as before. The commands under doctl Kubernetes are for managing Kubernetes clusters and viewing configuration options relating to clusters. A typical workflow is to use doctl Kubernetes cluster create to create the cluster on DigitalOcean's infrastructure, and then call doctl Kubernetes cluster kubeconfig to configure kubectl to connect to the cluster. You are then able to use kubectl to create and manage workloads. The documents or the commands under doctl Kubernetes options retrieve values used while creating clusters, such as the list of regions where cluster creation is supported. Alright, so that's the help command. The next thing we're going to do is get help on the options command. Alright, so the options commands are used to enumerate values for which docstls for use with docstls Kubernetes commands. This is useful in certain cases where flags only accept input that is from a list of possible values, such as Kubernetes versions, data center regions, and machine sizes. Alright, so next one is to list what regions are available to use when creating a docs cluster. Okay, so we've got all kinds of regions. We don't have one in my region. The closest one to me would probably be Chicago, because that's in my time zone. But I don't see Chicago either. So, yeah, I don't really know which one I would use. Probably figure that out later. List machine sizes that can be used in a docs cluster. Okay, so here's all the sizes of the machines. Virtual machines, I think for Witcher 3, you'd probably need one of these. For Solitaire, you wouldn't need as powerful as of a machine. So those are the sizes. List Kubernetes versions that can be used with DigitalOcean clusters. Alright. There we go. Here's the versions that can be used. And then finally, display commands for managing Kubernetes clusters. The commands under doctl Kubernetes cluster are for the management of Kubernetes clusters. A typical workflow is to use doctl Kubernetes cluster create to create the cluster on DigitalOcean's infrastructure. Then call doctl Kubernetes cluster kubeconfig to configure kubectl to connect to the cluster. You are then able to use kubectl to create and manage workloads, which I'm afraid of that I will get charged for. I do have the code I'm using will give me instant alerts when a charge is made so I can detect fraud. So if I do end up doing something that creates a charge, I will see that instantly as long as I have my phone on me. So next you're going to focus on the create subcommand of the doctl K8's cluster. Inspect the available options here. So doctl K8's cluster create -h. So we didn't create the cluster, we just look at all the options available for how you create a cluster. So what this command does is it creates a Kubernetes cluster given the specified options using the specified name. Before creating the cluster, you can use doctl Kubernetes options to see possible values for the various configuration flags. If no configuration flags are used, a 3-node cluster with a single node pool will be created in the NYC1 region using the latest Kubernetes version. After creating a cluster, a configuration context will be added to kubectl and made active so that you can begin managing your new cluster immediately. Alright, don't see anything regarding billing. For the starter kit tutorial, you will need a docs cluster with 3 worker nodes. Use --wait false if you do not want the command to wait until cluster is ready. The example below is using 4 CPU -8 giga. Now that would be gigabits as far as I know because it's a lowercase b, but I'm not sure. AMD nodes. Okay, so this is going to be $48 a month. So I think I will get a charge if I do this command. 3 default and auto scale to 2-4. So your cluster cost is between that much with hourly billing. So if I have this up for a fraction of an hour, I still will get a charge. The charge, it's not clear what the charge would be. To choose a different node type, pick from the following command: doctl compute size list. Okay, so yeah, this will create a charge as far as I know, and the output will look like this. Cluster is provisioning, waiting for a cluster to be running. So we can see now the status is running. So the cluster will be provisioned, and then it will go into running state. Next, you can verify the cluster details. First, fetch your docs cluster ID. The output looks similar here. Now, query the DigitalOcean API using curl. Please make sure to replace the placeholders. So here's the placeholders where you put in your API, DigitalOcean API token, which I don't know if I can get access to anymore. Finally, check if the kubectl context was set to point to your docs cluster. The doctl utility does it automatically for you in general, but it's good to know if something goes bad. The output looks similar here, starter kit cluster 2. If the above command output is empty or different, you can use the kubeconfig subcommand of doc tlk8's cluster to set kubectl context. First, list the available docs clusters. There we go. Now we should have the cluster that we created and that is running. The output looks similar to this. Next, set kubectl context to point to your cluster. There we go. So kubeconfig save the cluster name. And this is the name of the cluster, not the name of the session or anything like that. The output looks similar to this. Notice adding cluster credentials to kubeconfig file found here. Notice setting current context to starter kit cluster 2, which is I think a name that we gave it manually somewhere. Yeah, so we gave it the name here in the create command. If the above command output is empty or different, you can use the so you can use the kubeconfig subcommand of doctlk8's cluster to set the kubectl context. First, list the available docs clusters. There we go. So we've got one here that's running. Next, set kubectl context to point to your cluster. There we go. Output looks similar to this. Finally, list doc cluster nodes. And the output will look like this. So here's the nodes. If everything was set correctly, you should get a list of all the docs cluster worker nodes. The status column should print ready if all the nodes are healthy. Hint, if the worker node's status is set different from ready, you can inspect the affected nodes via and then replace the placeholders. So here we go, you have to put in the specific worker node, which we get from here, the name of the worker node. And I need to pause quick. Okay, I'm back. After running the above command, please look at the events section, last line from the command output, to check if something went wrong. There are many other useful sections to look at, like conditions, system info, allocated resources, to help you troubleshoot worker nodes issues in the future. Alright, so I'm a little bit worried to follow these steps because I think I'm going to get a charge if I follow them. So I'm not exactly sure if that charge will go through now or later. But I am concerned that I will get charged. So I think I'm gonna finish reading this part and then maybe go forward then. So if you plan to use this cluster to serve in a production environment, it is recommended that you also set up, apart from the basic nodes, another fixed size node pool with the purpose of serving the observability stack from chapter 4, which we'll get to later, so setting up observability. In general, it is good practice to separate the observability stack from user applications. This way, one cannot interfere with another or get affected by downtime when performing cluster or node pool maintenance, etc. On the other hand, monitoring is a crucial aspect of any modern infrastructure, hence high availability is a must. Later on, you will use node affinity to schedule observability related pods on the dedicated node pool. To add another node pool to the cluster created earlier, run the following command. Alright, so this is to add another node pool for observability. I don't know if that will trigger charges as well. Alright, so the output looks similar here. So this is a UI, this is an ID, it looks like a GUID. And then it's got a name, observability, and then this is the machine. Next, check the cluster's nodes created. So kubectl get nodes. So now we created a observability node. Next, you will add a label to the new node. This will make it easier to schedule pods into this node using a distinct label and node affinity. So kubectl label nodes, your node name preferred equals observability. Verify that your node has a preserved equals observability label. So kubectl get nodes, your node name, show labels. So it looks like the labels are here. So let's see if this has a preferred equals observability. So the output looks similar to, and then notice the labels. Let's try to notice the label. So the label is here, but it looks very long. And here it is, preserved or preferred equals observability. So conclusion. In this tutorial, you learned how to use the doctl utility, inspect the available options, as well as how to get help for a specific command or subcommand. Then you learned how to create a docs cluster and inspect worker nodes state. In the next section, you will learn how to use DigitalOcean Container Registry, DOCR, to easily store and manage private container images for your Kubernetes cluster. Alright, so this is the next one there. Now, I didn't do anything yet. I have to get all the way through step 3. I worked through step 2. But step 3 I'm a bit concerned to work through because we can see that what we're doing is creating nodes. And these nodes are going to cost $48 a month. So, and then the other thing is we're going to cluster them and auto scale them. So that'll increase the monthly costs and will be billed every hour. So I'm a bit concerned that when I create these, I won't know how to stop it from running up charges, and I'll go on with my day and go on with my week and months, and I'll have multiple $100 charges after a few months for nothing. So I'm really concerned about that. So I guess I'm kind of concerned to do this. Let's look at the next section. Maybe there's something about getting rid of the charges in the next section. Alright, so the step we were on is step 2. I believe. No, we were still on step 1. Right, still on step 1. Right. Okay, so step 2, let's see if there's anything in there about charges. So I guess I'll search for a $sign. Don't see anything about that. Alright, so the next README is here. Oh, and it looks like it unpredictably closed. I think it must have crashed because I don't think I did anything unusual there. So I think that's going to be it for this video for now. I really want a better understanding of those charges, especially so that they don't rack up. I'm willing to spend a few bucks on it, maybe even all the way up to 100, but I'm really not willing to spend more than that unless I can use it to bring in some money. So that's going to be, and the other thing is, since I'm part of the Agile Institute, I can work on a open source project there called the Mentor Hub. So I'd rather learn using resources that kind of are an investment than just kind of throw money into it. I mean, we saw that there was a reading source, there was a resource here under courses where I could actually throw money into getting certs and getting educational materials and getting like a lab to play around with in. So I'd rather do that than just kind of work in a way that isn't quite as goal oriented. So I think that's going to be it for this video for now. Was able to mark off quite a bit, but I still need to get through the Kubernetes tutorial. So that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.